going on, Jerome? It's beautiful Friday. It's time for another Vikings news dump, and feeling good. Heading into the weekend, the Vikings, maybe you're going to find their future franchise quarterback in 2 weeks. Who knows? Who knows, man? But mercifully, we are getting closer, and it feels good, man. That's right. So, attendees for the draft, there's only going to be 13. Now, players can be invited, but then opt out. I feel like, especially after the Rona season, a lot of players do see the value in being around friends and family, having to get together, because, I mean, it's not just the player being drafted, it's the family. Like, it's a great moment for everyone involved. But there will be 13 prospects at the draft in Detroit. Cornerbacks Terran Arnold, quarterback Jane Daniels, Harrison Jr., Latham, Latu, Drake Maye, you know the names, right? Quinion, Quinion making the trek up to Detroit. I love it. Malik Neighbors, Rome Odunze, Darius Robinson. So Robinson is really the only one who could be towards the back end of the first round, although Robinson's a stud, man. I really like him. BTJ, Dallas Turner, as well as Caleb Williams. So, a couple luminaries not showing up, JJ McCarthy notably, but I mean, could J.J. McCarthy take a tumble? Probably not. It was reported that Vikings, Gopher safety Tyler Nubin was invited, but he's like, nah. But that is a good sign that the selection committee does see Nubin as a first-round pick. So awesome on him. Also awesome is that, so Kwesi had a great press conference yesterday. We did have a video last night covering the whole lot, but one of my favorite lines, it was encapsulated by Andrew Kramer-Strib. Your only leverage in the negotiation is your willingness to do something else. And that's exactly where the Vikings sit right now. And I know that everyone and their mom has freaked out about the Vikings giving up too much in a potential trade up in the draft, whether it's 11-23, future first rounder, etc. But like we said, the Vikings and Kwesi have built in a very nice floor where they can stick and pick at 11-23, and that is the leverage. And also, those picks are valuable. Like if you're Washington, New England, Arizona, and the Chargers, yes, it's nice to have a high draft pick, but you have a lot of needs. Like your roster is in full rebuild mode. I mean, look at the Bears; they have 1-9, and I mean, if you're the Cardinals, wouldn't you, even though you have 4, sure, wouldn't you love 11, 23, and 27, 3 first-round picks? Because, yeah, maybe you're in on receiver at 4, and you could be in on Neighbors or Marvin Harrison Jr., but what if Rome Odunze gets to 11? Or say you're in on tackle, and Joe Alt is there at 4, sure, or Olu Fashanu, or you want to go to the other side, go Fuaga at 11. I mean, there's tons. Troy Fatanu could play tackle or guard. There's lots of options all over the place. So what's intriguing is that, yeah, I mean, it would be nice to trade up into the stratosphere, but if Kwesi thinks that the juice is not worth the squeeze and the Vikings stay put, I'm fine with that. And I feel like majority of fans are as well. Also, so Ted Wynn, football film analysis over at The Athletic, he does fantastic work. Raiders jabroni, but won't hold that against him. So the whole Drake Maye thing. So I feel like Drake Maye over any of the quarterbacks has been picked apart more during draft season. Now Williams has a lot of stuff, but that's all off the field that people are going after him about. Right, I mean, it's all superfluous, right? It doesn't really affect on the field, but on the field play, I do feel like Drake Maye has been picked apart more than any other quarterback. Ted tweeted this: I don't understand why some people think Maye is such a big project. As someone who was high on Anthony Richardson last season, there was more projection with him. Maye needs to clean things up, but he's much further along than Anthony Richardson was. And that's true. I mean, yeah. I mean, people can cherry pick and be like, oh, here's all the spots where Drake Maye missed an easy throw. Okay, sure. But also, what about those big-time cojones throws, both this year and especially last year, when in 2022, when he was surrounded by a competent offensive coordinator as well as weapons, Josh Downs and company at Chapel Hill, right? And also, well, he has to make his receivers better. He's going to be throwing to NFL-caliber receivers in the National Football League. And if he lands here with the Vikings, it's going to be Jefferson and Addison. Perhaps you heard of them. It's pretty good. Does he need to clean up footwork? Yes. Does he need to learn to take a profit when it's there as opposed to forcing things? Yes. But also, I feel like, so the quarterback thing is like our cornerback analogy, where I would prefer if a cornerback is a little bit too grabby, a little bit too aggressive at the line of scrimmage, as well as in coverage, right? Because you can dial that back, but it's really hard to take a passive cornerback and be like, hey, go down there, hands fight. Hey, tug a little bit of the jersey, but know where the ref is, so you know you can hide it. Put it in front or in the back of him, just to make sure. Also, make sure that you wear the colored gloves of the same color of the jersey, or at least black if they're wearing dark jerseys at home. All those things, right? So it's much easier to dial things down than to dial things up. So I love Drake Maye's natural aggressiveness, but if you took a passive quarterback who was always just like, checking it down, it's really hard to ramp things up. As a, hey, MFer, they're going to be sitting in cover 3 with a free safety in the middle of the field, but I still want you to throw the post because you got the arm talent to do it, man. And Drake Maye certainly believes that. Also, Ted Wynn had a mock draft over at the 33rd team. So immediately, the Bo Nix pick stands out. Now, I know that everyone and their mom wants to compare him to Drew Brees. I want to convince myself because I'm Mr. Positivity. I just don't see it. I just really don't, right? So, sure, he's definitely grown and shown since his days at Auburn, where he was basically quarterbacking like a chicken with his head cut off. But he efficiently ran the Oregon offense, put up big-time numbers, so respect there. But in terms of short window, small window velocity, as well as deep ball, I don't know, man. But in the 33rd team's mock draft by Ted, he gives the Vikings Bo Nix at 11. Now, on its face, not the most insane thing in the world, although I feel like if you're going to go Bo Nix, probably would be there at 23, potentially. But, all right, so what got me is the rest of the mock. So, Williams, Daniels, Maye. It's pretty standard, right? Dallas Turner at 4. Woo! Spicy. So the Cardinals go in a completely different direction. Receivers for days. Alt goes to the Chargers. Yes, they want to build up the offensive line. Harrison Jr. goes to the Giants. Finally, Danny Dimes has some weapons. Fashanu goes to the Titans. And then the Raiders jump up ahead of the Vikings with the Falcons, and they take J.J. McCarthy. Now, if McCarthy gets by the Giants, go get him. You know, get the Titans on the horn. Just be like, hey, we're coming in, man. Ran Carthon. Hey, Ran, what's up? I ran so far away. Trade us pick number 7. I think the Vikings would have the impetus to do that, but so the Vikings get leapfrogged by the Raiders, and then they just stick and pick and take Bo Nix. I don't know, man. I don't know. No. Honestly, if Rome Odunze got to 11, I would give serious consideration. I know wide receiver is a massive position of strength, but F it. I mean, they got 3 deep for Brad Johnson in 98, man. Why can't they do the same thing with Sam Darnold? Who knows? Also, speaking of drafts, so Kevin O'Connell, back in the day, coming out of San Diego State, 3rd round selection, 2008 by the Patriots. So the Vikings mother account. How would Kevin O'Connell stack 2008 Kevin O'Connell against this year's quarterback class? A developmental later round pick with ton of upside. So Kevin O'Connell, Kevin O'Connell was Drake Maye before Drake Maye. Big time arm coming out of San Diego State, the alma mater of Marshall Faulk. Go Aztecs, let's go. And so O'Connell could run like a deer, and also like he had a hose on him, man. Like he could throw a BB through a paper towel, or whatever. An arm strength analogy we have du jour. But this is interesting. So NFL.com scouting report. I think this was done by Nolan Naraki. He of Cam Newton fame. But Kevin O'Connell overview. With a thumb injury sidelining him for 5 games in 2006. Oh, God. O'Connell entered his senior season barely a blip on the NFL radar. He proved his health and ability as a senior, however, and ranks as one of the draft's most intriguing developmental quarterback prospects. Blessed with a rare combination of size and athleticism, O'Connell has shown comparable improvement over the past 2 years in his reading of defenses and overall passing accuracy. But calling plays on 3rd and 4th and short, poopy. Also, I would love to go back in time. So if I had a time machine, I wouldn't use it for like productive things. I would show coaching stats from 2006, the tush push. Because when did they change the rule where you could push the ball carrier? Obviously, it was after Reggie Bush in college. But When did they change it? I think it was in like the 2010s, somewhere there. Also, this is before the Wildcat, because I think it was '08 with Ronnie Brown and the Dolphins and our guy Tony Sperano, rest in power. Strengths, positive, exceptional size. Rare athleticism for the quarterback position, good straight line speed, good strength. He ran a 4.6 140. Get down, KOC, get down. Good strength and surprising elusiveness for a player. He has size to buy time in the pocket or scramble if needed. Good poise in the pocket, keeps his eyes downfield, makes his progressions and throws to the open receiver. Wow. I mean, that's good. Flashes accuracy to all levels of the field. Improved touch on his deep passes as a senior. Arm strength to make every NFL throw. Has made considerable development as a passer over the past 2 seasons. And has the tools to work with. An ascending talent, 4-year captain. All right, so you're telling me as a freshman, like lanky-ass Kevin O'Connell, bruh, just walked on to San Diego State's campus like, look at me. I'm the captain now. Come on, man. Blah, blah, blah. Negatives, raw. Struggles with consistency, perfectly suited to the Aztec offensive scheme due to his size, arm, and athleticism, and will need considerable development time to acclimate to an NFL offense. Obvious questions about San Diego State's level of competition in the Mountain West Conference. And he did land in a good developmental spot behind Tom Brady, which is interesting. So, I mean, not gonna lie, like Kevin O'Connell kind of sounds like Michael Pratt out of Tulane. Maybe with a stronger, well, definitely with a stronger arm, but it's interesting. Yeah, because Pratt was a 4-year starter at Tulane as well, and he can move. Who knows? Also, speaking of quarterbacks who can move, Francis Tarkenton, the pride of Georgia, hanging out. Kevin O'Connell could spend all day with this guy, Vikings legend Frank Tarkenton. You're the absolute best, simply the best. Appreciate the time and stories, especially about Coach Grant. Skol. Good times. All right, so KOC, like he's 6'5", right? Tarkenton, I believe, was like 6'1" back in the day. And I know, like, as we get older, we get shorter. Like, I've shrunk like several inches. But I don't know, like Tarkenton looks like 5'7" in this picture. Who knows, man? Time is undefeated. The only person who has defeated time, though, is Tom friggin' Brady. Ooh, I'm with the segues today. So Brady, old-ass Tom Brady, is 46, retired a couple years ago. Actually, no, just 1 year ago. It's kind of crazy, man. But all the talk. So Brady says he's open to a return, or not opposed to a late-season NFL return. In an appearance on the Deep Cut podcast released Thursday, Brady was asked by host Vic Blends whether he would pick up the phone if a team called him in the event of an injury. I'm not opposed to it, Brady said. I don't know if they're going to let me if I become an owner of an NFL team. I'm always going to be in good shape. I'll always be able to throw the ball. So to come in for a little bit like MJ, Michael Jordan with the Wizards coming back, I don't know if they would let me, but I wouldn't be opposed to it. Now, what's interesting is that so MJ was a part owner of the Wizards with Abe Pollin from back in the day. But when he came back, he had to give up his shares with the wink nudge that Abe Pollin would give his shares back. And then once Jordan sold out every single Wizards game and built buzz around the franchise and jacked up the team's value, Poland's like, no. And Abe Pollin never fired anyone. Like, Wes Unseld was a horrible GM, and he had him there for like 30, 40 years. So the only person that Abe Pollin ever fired was Michael Jordan. It's funny, man. But so MJ, when he came back to the Wizards, was not MJ. And also, so I'm fully on Team Jordan versus Team LeBron, but respect what LeBron can do right now versus when Jordan was the same age with the Wizards. It's kind of night and day. So respect there to LBJ. But with Jordan, I mean, so Jordan in the second three-peat with the Bulls, like he wasn't the leaper that he used to be back in the day. He was much more of a post player in the triple post offense. Like, so back down smaller guards, that fadeaway jumper. Always key, right? Like, he wasn't high-flying dunking Jordan anymore. Also, he did develop a really good jumper by that time. And with the Wizards, I mean, the Wizards, like, he was basically just a post player. Like, he was older. He was slow. He's kind of fat. Happens, man. He was 6-man for a while, but then he's like, I'm Michael Jordan. I'm not 6-man. What the hell are we talking about? Anyways, so Blends proposed a scenario where the San Francisco 49ers might need a quarterback heading into the playoffs. And then Brock Purdy's like, don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby. And also mentioned the Patriots as well as the Raiders before giving his answer. Brady should not go back to the Patriots because their offensive line besides Onwenu is poopy. And so he will get destroyed. The Raiders would be interesting. Yeah, I mean, the Raiders are the team that he's trying to get a minority ownership with, but I don't know. Like, I feel like Brady could do it. He needs a great offensive line in front of him, but in terms of just distributing the football, and yes, we sort of chastise quarterbacks who check down all the time, but part of Brady's got, like, everyone remembers Brady with 2007, like him just chucking 50-yard bombs to Randy Moss, but Brady was never an arm strength merchant. Like, he wasn't a big arm guy. He was hey, I'm going to throw an accurate ball with a little bit of zip right where it needs to be, right where the defense ain't. And that's what he still could do. Like, absolutely he could. Now, the thing about it is, like, long story longer, when Kirk Cousins went down with his Achilles last season, I was all in on making him play for Tom Brady, right? Even though we had a good, like, 6 quarters with the Pastronaut. I mean, if Tom Brady came in last year for the Vikings, what would have happened? That's what I want to know, man. JJ coming back. Addison develops a rapport. Ty Chandler would have been the new James White back there. It would have been good. It would have been really good, man. But alas, didn't happen. But I would love to see Brady just back in the league, just for schnitz and giggles, because that's what I'm all about. Also schnitz and giggles. So Stephon Diggs traded to the Houston Texans, said bye-bye to the Bills, had some big-time production, put up numbers. He had to be happy, right? But, of course, on the old Twitter machines, because now it is news when people like something or people remove photos of them or people unfollow people. It's funny, man. But Diggs apparently liked a tweet replying to him from Big Worm. Bills low-key got the worst fan base, y'all bitter at ASF in the comments. And Diggs liked that. I mean, Bills fans, I respect Bills Mafia. I love how hardcore they are. Plus, they're in the 0-for-4 Super Bowl club. Although theirs are 4. Well, the Vikings were 4-6, 4 Super Bowl losses in 6 years. I want to say, I may be wrong, but I mean the Bills obviously were four in a row. It's funny, man. But I have respect for Bills Mafia, but obviously they're probably a little bit upset with Stephon Diggs, and we know that Diggs pays attention to the media and social media, so he has got to see him being roasted all over. So maybe he's right. So speaking of 0-for-4, ay Dios mío. So again, before we get into it, respect to the Minnesota Lynx. They need to trade up for Caitlin Clark. Cowards. Do that up. So obviously the Lynx with Maye Moore had a great run of championships. So awesome. Respect that there. But the other 4 major sports, Minneapolis has a championship drought of 119 seasons over the span of 32 years. Ay Dios mío. Now technically the Wild play in St. Paul, but whatever. All right. So the Wild, the Twins, the Wolves, and the Vikings. So the Vikings haven't won anything since 61, their first year. So whatever. The Wolves expansion team, 89, I want to say, haven't won anything until this year. The Twins, 87, 91, and also the Washington Senators won one if you count that. Sure. And the Wild, not so much. But this is the year. Breaking the curse. Wolves win. Vikings are on the cusp as they find their future franchise quarterback. Twins will still suck, and the Wild will definitely. The Wild might be the worst team in hockey. I don't even know much about hockey, but I know that from listening to my Wild friends just piss and moan about the team. It's not good. No bueno. But that's it. Beautiful Friday. You guys are the best you know what to do. Skol production value.